RC Bro here. Today we're going to talk about choosing that first RC car. Taking the time and doing a little research and choosing the right car is very important, because choosing the right car will affect what you get out of your RC car hobby. A lot of times when you make the bad choice, you are in a situation where you think this may not be what you want to do. Because you make the wrong choice, it's not as fun, or it could be more complicated. So the first choice is very, very important. Number one, if you choose the wrong car, you can choose a car that's too complicated, too expensive. And if it's complicated and expensive, you may not know how to properly operate it and maintain it. You could choose a scale that's too large. Being too large, and if it's too large and too fast, it's easy to crash it because you may not have the car for your environment. Say, for example, you pick a fast, large car and you run it on the street in front of your house in your neighborhood. Well, a fast car is more likely to get damaged by hitting curbs and trees, and then getting the parts for it could be a little more expensive. However, if you start out with a smaller car and you're a beginner, you are less likely for that to happen. And so today we're going to talk about the different cars, and hopefully this will help you choose the right car. So there are different kind of classes of cars. You have gas powered cars, nitro powered cars, which is a special fuel mixture, and you have electric cars. For RC Bro, we specifically choose electric cars. Reason being, number one, because they're reasonably priced. Number two, they are pretty easy to work on. And number three, you get a lot of bang for your buck. Next is the kind of car you want to get. That depends on how you want to drive. In the RC cars, with the electric cars in particular, but all of them really, there's basically 3 or 4 different classes. The most popular one now, especially with the electric cars, is the truck, the monster truck. The monster truck, and I have some samples in front of me and I'll show you more, is good to start with because it's very durable, it's rough and rugged, and it's a lot of fun. They can go fast, they can go over all kinds of terrain, and they're fairly good to control, so it's a good starting point for your RC hobby. The next class of vehicle is what they call a buggy. A buggy is a vehicle that's more suited for smoother terrain. It could go on relatively smooth dirt or roads. In general, they have more control than the trucks because they have a lower center of gravity. And this is a class of car that many races. They race the trucks too, but the buggies generally are for faster racing because they have more control. And we will show you a buggy as well. These are trucks, and actually this is a buggy right here. The next class of car is what you call a drift car, and the drift cars are basically more authentic. They look more like traditional cars. Your monster trucks and buggies don't look like cars you see on the road or in races all the time. You see them in races, but you don't see them on the road. Whereas your drift car, that's the kind of car you might see on the street. It's a little more authentic in terms of its size, its scale, and wheel. So it looks more like a real car. It's called a drift car because the type of racing it does. It's a lot of fun. It's totally different than running a truck off-road. It has to be on a smooth road, and it needs a lot of space because they're generally very fast. If you don't have a lot of space and you run into a tree or a curb, you can damage it. Another class of RC cars is called a crawler. Crawlers are generally slower trucks, larger trucks, and they're made to go over rocks and very, very rugged terrain and hill climbs. The crawlers are popular because people like to adjust and cater the suspension because they have extremely flexible and high ground clearance and suspension. So they participate in competitions to see who can climb what rocks and what hills the fastest. I don't have a crawler, and we're not doing crawlers at this time, but that's something that if you're interested in, maybe we can do crawlers. Crawlers tend to cost more, and their parts tend to cost more. And here at RC Bro, we're attempting, or we're focusing on entry-level RC car hobbyists, and we're focusing on getting you hands-on with different types of cars. Our focus is not just for you to just get your cars and enjoy the hobby, but we want you to have cars so that you can understand how they function mechanically, electronically, and also automotively. So it's not just about playing with the cars and having fun. Our intent is to get you exposure to how they work, how they fix them, and some of the theory behind how they operate, so you can learn more about and get a good introduction to the sciences of electronic or electronics, mechanical, and automotive engineering. Okay, with that as a background, we're going to get to the cars now. We're going to do it in the order of scales. Scale is the size of the car relative to the real car. So we'll be doing 1/18th scale, 1/16th scale, 1/14th scale, 1/12th scale, and 1/10th scale. I prefer not to go any smaller than 1/18th scale. You can, a lot of people like that, but for me, 1/18th is the smallest, and at this time I'm not going any bigger than 1/10th scale, and because the bigger they get, the more expensive they get. And once again, we want to keep the costs down and the value up. Alright, so first up we have the DRC 9300 1/18th scale monster truck. This vehicle is one of my personal favorites because it is a good entry-level truck for all ages, and particularly youth, young people, because it's, number one, it's affordable. I paid around $65 for it, and you may be able to catch some sales to get it for even less than that. Another thing about it is it's just a fun vehicle that goes over all terrain. It goes in the sand, it goes in the dirt, it does pretty good in the grass, and it actually has some pretty good speed on pavement, so you can take it everywhere. Also, because of its size, it can you can even run it inside the house. It makes tight turns, and so if you go slow, you don't want to be anywhere where you can damage anything, but a child or an adult can play with it inside the house to get a little practice. So that's one thing that's nice about this vehicle, the 9300. It's we go inside. This is a motor. It is a brushed vehicle. It's not brushless. It's brushed. It has what's called a 380 motor, which actually does really well because it's a small, lightweight car. The motor really moves along really well. So it has the air. It has the big knobby tires that are air-filled. It has standard shocks. It's not fancy oil-filled shock, but because this is so lightweight, it's not a problem. And it does what you need to do. It's fun. It's durable. You can bash it, jump it, and do everything. It'll take a beating. Also, it's just like all the cars that we're having there. It's a hobby grade car, so you can replace everything that's in the car. You can replace absolutely everything, and be able to keep your investment. And remember, that's part of the reason. That's one of the reasons why RC Bro exists. It's not about playing with the cars and collecting the cars. You can do that, of course, but what we're trying to do, what we want to do, is we want to enable young people in particular to learn how to maintain the cars and modify the cars, and in doing that, they learn the technology. And the technology that actually the cars are built on, that's what we're trying to do. So once again, this particular car, the DRC 9300, its name is Sandyland. Okay, sometimes it's tricky putting it back on. Sandyland is the name on it, so I like to refer to it as the DRC Sandyland. All right. This is what this car is made to do. Excellent brakes too, watch. Well, that's the driver, not the car. Try it again. Alright, so continuing with the 1/18th scale monster trucks, next up we have the DRC 300E. The DRC 300E. And if you look at it, you might say, hey, that looks somewhat similar to the 9300. And that is because it is. It is on the same chassis as the 9300. So if I pull the 9300 here and set it right next to it and take the bodies off, you'll see that the chassis and much of it is exactly the same. This is the 300E and this is the 9300. It's the same frame or chassis, but the difference is, if you look at it, you can see this one has a different motor. Whereas the 9300 has the brush motor, they upgraded this one, the 300E, to the brushless motor. It has a brushless 2440 brushless motor. And I'll be doing a special video on the characteristics of brushless and brushed motors and why, in general, the brushless is such a more of an improvement over the brushed motors. However, in the case of this car, it makes it much faster. Much faster. So it has all the same characteristics of this one. If you look at it, it's got the same kind of shock absorbers, which is, not fancy shocks, same shock absorbers. Has the same drive shafts, metal on the inside. And but it has an upgrade here. If you look at the drive shaft cups on the inside, you have what they call this right here is called the differential. They both have two differentials. And this white thing here is the drive shaft cup. Let's see if you guys see it. Yeah, that's the cup for the front drive shaft. This drive shaft they call a dog bone, and it ties into the differential cup. And this one has a plastic on the inside, if you can see it, and it has metal ones on the outside, right here, metal. So that's an improvement. Well, no. The metal is an improvement over the plastic. This one has plastic, but this one, the 300E, it has metal on both of them. If you look here, it has a metal differential cup on the inside and a metal on the outside. And that's likely to wear out. And so that's because the stress of a faster motor puts on the drive chain, the drive shaft and differential, the stress that it puts on it actually may make those plastic cups slip out or become damaged. So it's an upgrade with the motor. It's an upgrade with the drive chain, and they may even have metal gears on the inside. So I'll look into that later on. Now, one other thing that you probably noticed before anything else is that the 300E, or this 300E, has larger tires. Well, that is not standard. This is an upgrade that I did. I put larger tires on this vehicle because I figured it can handle it, and it can. And these tires came off a car that didn't run very well, which I purchased and I did not like. And I took the wheels off and put it on this one. This one had wheels just like this one, but I upgraded it, and it makes it actually a lot more fun. I don't have a video of it with the large wheels, but it's a lot of fun. And so that's one of the things you do with the RC cars. You can upgrade it to your liking, you can modify it, repair them, and that's part of the fun. So let's see how it goes. Oh, you can tell the difference right there. Brushless. Look at that. This darn thing goes good everywhere. Grass. And because of that, it's going to be let's see how the control is. Oh, it's pretty darn good. It is fast. Now, if you liked the 9300 Sandyland, you'll love the 9500E. But it's definitely an upgrade. It's not for very small children because it's got too much juice. It is fast. It's got the brushless motor. Look at that. It's fast on the straights, on the pavement. It's not that bad controlling it either. You would think with this small wheelbase it would be hard to control, but it's excellent. Yes. It does wheelies. Just tearing this grass up. Okay, so now we're going to move into the 1/16th scale class. And these are monster trucks we're going to have. And the scale is slightly larger than the 1/18th. And so in general, the cars have a little more weight. They're larger, wider wheelbase, and they're longer. And they are definitely faster. And they are for some of your, I don't recommend starting out with one of these for a youngster. An adult can start out with one of these. What's nice about them is most of them have adjustable speed trim on their controllers, so you can limit the speed on them so you don't drive it too fast. And these, because they go fast, if you run into curbs and things, it's possible they can be damaged more so than the smaller ones because they're going so much faster. However, if you look up any of the videos that some of the RC channels have, they tear these cars up. All three of these that I'm going to show you, they really tear them up, and they come out pretty much in good shape. So they are durable even though they're heavier. Also, they tend to have better shock absorbers, and the tires have more bounce or cushion to them to absorb shocks. And in general, it is more exciting because they are faster and they're a little more stable than the 1/18th scale. All right, so first up from the 1/16th scale monster trucks is the HBX 16889 Pro. And I think they have an upgraded version, the 16889A Pro. And so this one is made by the company called HBX. It's the same as High Boxing, but they advertise as both HBX and High Boxing. And this is a pretty exciting monster truck. It has a brushed 2840 motor. This truck here. Let's take a look inside. Here's the motor with the heatsink. It's a brushed 2840 motor, and the numbers for the motors generally generally refer to the length of the motor and the width or the diameter. So this diameter is 28 millimeters across here, 28 millimeters, and 40 millimeters in length. So the length and the width, the larger the motor, the more power you have and the faster you go. And once again, these are brushless motors. And so this one is HBX generally is known for their quality. So this has oil-filled shocks. You can actually feel them. So when it bounces, check it out. It really doesn't bounce. That's because the shocks are keeping it from bouncing. And so that's when you get an HBX, it generally has quality materials. And so if you look at the shocks, they have metal top, metal bottom, and it looks like they have plastic on the inside. And it also comes with a wheelie bar, and the wheelie bar is absolutely necessary because this one pops wheelies. And they come with a 1000 milliampere LiPo battery. The 1/16ths come with a Li-ion battery, LiPo or lithium polymer generally gives you more power for the length of the charge and just more power in general. So it's same voltage but more consistent power. So lithium polymer or lithium polymers is an improvement or upgrade battery. So now I'm going to turn steering DR all the way to the right. That's maximum. And watch what happens. Turns all the way. That's a sharp angle. If I turn it to the middle, watch what happens. It doesn't turn all the way. If I turn it all the way to the left, watch what happens. See that? So that's how you can control your straightness. If you're going on a long straight track, or if you're going in an area that you need to turn, make sharp turns, you leave it there. So we're going to put it at about say 2 o'clock or so, and see how that does. Also, you got the speed trim. We're going to start out with slow and see. Start out with slow and see how that does. And notice this car has a wheelie bar in the back. What do you think that's for? Ah. It's not on there for nothing. This is just as fast, if not faster, than the other ones, but it definitely has better control. Well, it's not the car, it's the driver. Look at it rip through that grass. The HBX 16889 Pro. Got a wheelie bar in the back, and that's not for nothing. Whew, almost hit me. It shreds the grass. Look at it. Hill climb, no problem.